showtime.
Thanks to Biden's policies, Russia and China now form a bloc against the United States.
He should be embarrassed.
This was the nightmare scenario. Now it's real. Just today, the Chinese foreign minister described Vladimir Putin as China's, quote, most important strategic partner. So are we going to see a boycott of Chinese goods in the United States? They're making this war possible. Oh, don't bet on it. That would be racist. But we should prepare to lose our position as holder of the world's reserve currency. That is happening in slow motion. It's unmistakable. Now, the Biden people seem to have no idea this is going on, or maybe they want it to happen. Joe Biden was up there at the State of the Union bragging about how he took 30 points off the Russian ruble in a single day. Hooray, good for us. But once we stop celebrating our win, the destruction of the Russian economy, they deserve it. You got to wonder, is there a downside to this? Could it be a Pyrrhic victory? Let's see. These policies have driven Russia, China, India, Turkey, and other countries to accelerate their flight from the US dollar. Now, to be clear, that's the majority of the global economy. This may be the most reckless and destructive thing any American president has ever done to the United States. If the war in Ukraine ended tomorrow, we would live with the consequences of that loss of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency for the rest of our lives. No one in Washington is even acknowledging this is happening. They're looking for more moral victories to win. And the companies love it. The woke companies, Apple, MasterCard, lots of other American companies are taking victory laps for their role in punishing Russia. Great. Punish Russia. We're not against that. But you've got to wonder. You've just seen a handful of woke corporations crash a country and impoverish its citizens indiscriminately. Now, that country is Russia, so most of us aren't even thinking about the precedent it sets. We're fine with it. It's Russia, who cares? But is it possible these same techniques might be used someday against some place or somebody that you care about? What if one morning you woke up and they decided that you're Vladimir Putin and you must be erased? Could that happen? Don't think about it. You're probably not able to think about it clearly right now, even if you tried. Why? Because there's a moral panic in progress. For the record, this is the third moral panic we have had in the United States of America in less than 2 years. You don't want to live in a country in which moral panics break out regularly, by the way. Moral panics diminish the people engaged in them and hurt the people who don't. They're degrading, they're crazy, they're the opposite of what you want. You want to live in a country where wisdom and restraint and rational behavior and decency determine the outcomes, not screaming. But we live in a country of moral panics. The first one began in May of 2020 with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. That changed America completely. The second moral panic was COVID. You've lived through that. So for nearly 2 years, the shouting has not ended. Hysteria is now the official language of public discourse in the United States.
That's crazy.
That's not good for anyone except those benefiting from it. Who is benefiting? Anyone who lies for a living. The liars have perfect cover. Ask yourself, how much of what you first heard about BLM and then about the coronavirus turned out in the end to be true? How many of the first stories were true? Not many. It was almost all lies. But you didn't know that at the time because you were busy being yelled at. If you dared to point out that actually all lives matter, they denounced you as a racist. If you expressed concern about vaccine mandates, of course, they called you an anti-vaxxer. Sound familiar? The pattern never changes. Hey, maybe war with Russia is not a good idea for the United States. Say that out loud sometime. It's not an extreme position. Most Americans would agree with you. But you will immediately be denounced as a tool of Putin. What is this? It's name-calling as a means of social control. The people in charge have decided their primary job is to decide who you should hate.
That's amazing.
In an environment like this, everything feels like propaganda, and that's because much of it is. On Thursday, we told you that Russian forces had bombed a nuclear reactor in Ukraine. That seemed to be true. President Zelensky of Ukraine had said it repeatedly, but it was not true. No reactors were hit. An unnamed Ukrainian official claimed that radiation levels in the area had risen. That turned out to be untrue as well. In the words of Mark Nelson, who's a nuclear energy analyst, quote, "I'm afraid to say this looks like a coordinated effort to induce panic." Of course. It was what we call disinformation, and it was designed to get you to support a war against Russia. Now, maybe you support a war against Russia anyway. but you should at least know that you're being lied to and manipulated, which you are. Watch this segment from Good Morning America the other day.
Now I feel better.